One time, me and Jimmy Russell, my cousin here in Hardy, we'd been fishing. I believe we was fishing. And we was coming in, we was driving a 62 Chevy car. I remember he had no car running pretty good. And we come flying down through there, and we knew that the house cats was like they are now. House cats was everywhere. And if you seen a house cat, if it wasn't close to the house, we was able to shoot it because they caught quail and rabbits. And I've never eat a cat yet, but I sure like to eat quail and rabbits. But we didn't have a gun with us. And we come down the road, and this big old cat, and Jimmy said, hit that thing with a rock if you can. Of course, I was about 2 years younger than Jimmy, or 3, so anything Jimmy told me to do, well, of course, I'd run and do it, you know, if he told me to. Kind of scared not to now, he's had to whoop me. But anyway, he told me this big old cat jumped in behind a tree, and I jumped out and grabbed the rock. And when I went around the tree, the cat, I mean, it set up like 3 foot off, close to 3 foot off the ground, 2.5 foot. It was a great big cat, had a head as big as a big bobcat, you know. So I didn't throw a rock at it. I went back and got in the car. I said, that cat 3 times big as a house cat. And what did? So back to the coon dogs. We went and got our coon dogs, and we decided we'd try to tree it, whatever it was. And they did run 100 yards, sure enough. And we had that time, I believe we had Lightning and Dust, Lightning and Dusty and Joe, and anyway, we had 3 or 4 coon dogs, and we turned them things loose, and they treed that thing, and we went up there, and there it sat on a limb. Now, Jimmy had the gun, and so we shoot the thing out, you know, and it looked awful big sitting up there, and he shot that thing. That thing come piling out of there. Well, it had to be shot, I think he gut shot it, and it flew out of that tree. You won't see many things whoop a blue tick hound. I mean, they're pretty vicious. And he absolutely looked like a blur from one dog to the other. That cat whooped them dogs. He whooped them all and run them off, and they was bleeding from her ears to the tail. And that thing, and then it lined me out, and I had a carbide light on it. And it started, here it come. It started after me, and I was running, and this is 4 years before Knock Him Out John come out. I guarantee you. And that cat was after me, and he was gathering. He looked like he was gathering. He was running at me like that. He was swinging them front paws, and I had to hold on him. And when he jumped on me, Jimmy shot about 7th or 8th time. And that cat, he jumped right on me, and Jimmy shot him, and he shot him off of me. Now, we didn't know what kind of cat it was. Didn't have a clue. It was big, as big as a bobcat. It had a tail like a coon. And we went around to some of the older people around, my grandpa, and Val Hurstberger was 80-something years old at the time. Lived over by Slick Rock on a big farm over there. And we went and showed him that. And he said they used to kill him when he was a kid, but he hadn't seen one in like 50 years. And that cat had a head, it had a head as big as a big bobcat. It was a little darker, marked up similar to a bobcat, and had a long striped, or a kind of long, big, kind of thick, long striped tail like a coon, a little longer than a coon. And he said they called them wildcats, the only thing I ever knew. And but it weighed 28 pounds, and it's a big old cat. And I hadn't seen one since, and I always hated we killed him. But we didn't know what it was. I'm sure glad Jimmy shot the darn thing before it jumped on me. But I always kind of wish we had to kill it, you know. And that's been 40 years ago or longer, and hadn't seen one since.